Hey guys, my name is Magnetico and welcome back to my series of videos where we take video game systems, we clean them up, repair them if need be, and sometimes we mod them. And today we're going to be taking a final look at the GameCube that we've been working on for the last couple of months. This is the same one that we cleaned from top to bottom, and the same one where we installed a fan mod, a battery mod, and the GC loader so we can play the games off an SD drive. As usual, this is going to be just a video where I show you some of the final accessories that I get so I can complete this system, start playing it, and then start recording videos on my gaming channel as well. So I'm really pumped to get this finished. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the GameCube journey, and if this is your kind of thing where somebody goes in and cleans up systems, repairs them, and even mods them, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified every time I post a video. Let's get started. If you guys know me, you know that I rather stick to first-party accessories whenever it comes to my system. So I ended up getting a black controller to match with my black GameCube and also a silver one to go along with it. I wanted a red one really badly because typically I buy a black one and a red one, but the only red one they sold that was official was a Japanese exclusive, like special edition Mario one, which are going up extremely high in asking price. So it's not something I was willing to spend the money on. So for now, we'll stick with the black and we'll stick with the silver, which I really actually like this color a lot. Another first party accessory I got for the GameCube was memory cards, and I ended up getting the black ones, which actually have a little bit more memory than their silver or gray counterparts as well. I know there's memory cards out there by third party companies that have a way more memory, but I ended up going with these. Actually, while we're talking about these, let's see what's inside of these memory cards. So here we are on the GameCube menu. Let's go ahead and hop over to the memory card. It looks like the second one doesn't have anything, but it looks like the first one does. And oh my goodness, look like there's a lot of games here. Lots of rare games now. Looks like he had the Zelda Collector's Edition where he played Majora's Mask, the original Zelda, Ocarina of Time. He had Paper Mario, lots of Resident Evil 4. Wow. Whoever had this actually put a lot of time and work into this. It would absolutely stink if somebody were to delete all this. I would feel terrible. Now that we deleted everything inside of these memory cards, I can consider them fresh memory cards, and now they're ready to go whenever I need them. This next item is going to be a little controversial, and before you start typing in the comments below, let me explain. There's only so many solutions that are available for the GameCube whenever it comes to getting the best video out other than HDMI mods. And one of those options, which from our research I consider the best and number one option, is going to be the Carby. However, the website for the Carby, which is Insurrection Industries, have been sold out for a very long time. Other resellers like 8-Bit Mods or Castlemania Games, they've been sold out as well, and I haven't been able to find one other than eBay for about $200 to $250, which is the same price as an official Nintendo GameCube component cable. Now, I will get that component cable one day. That is one of those like grails, if you want to call it, but I'm not paying that for another item that I can possibly get in the future once it's back in stock. So for now, what I ended up going with is going to be this component cable from Retrobit. And I know this is considered like not that great. This is considered one of the not the worst option, but not the best option whenever it comes to that. I know there's a lot of people that are going to tell me, oh, this is just a clone of this and that. Well, listen, aside, this was $50. And I actually like this for several reasons. One, it kind of matches up with the other component cables from this generation of systems. So the GameCube, the Xbox, and the PlayStation 2 all had component cable options. And until the until the Carby is available, this is probably what I'll stick with. And number two, I actually like this, not better. I wouldn't say I like it better than the Nintendo GameCube component cable, but I like this because it actually includes all the prongs needed. The GameCube component cable, the official one, for some reason doesn't include audio out. You actually have to plug in the component cable and an AV cable in order to get that GameCube audio as well, which I thought was a really weird design. But other than that, this is what I'll go with. I've played with this. I used this on my RetroTink 5X and my 4K or RetroTink 4K, and it looks great. There's nothing wrong with it. I think people just kind of turn their nose up on it because it's not a Carby or it's not, you know, a great option. But I have gotten some really sharp, really great picture out of these. So if you guys are wanting to wait for a Carby or don't want to spend an exorbitant amount of money, this is actually not a bad option. I actually am comfortable saying that I recommend this. Other accessories that I got for this GameCube include the Game Boy player, and I am super pumped to have one of these because I never grew up with one of these, but now I can play all my Game Boy Color games and Game Boy Advance games and also record them whenever I play them. Actually, I ended up recording my Blade playthrough for the Game Boy Color in my gaming channel using this same item. So I've already tested it. I can tell you guys here on this video that they do work with flashcards, including the Easy Flash versions of flashcards and the Quicks flashcards as well. So a great item to have. If you are using a GC loader, you do not have to get this with the disc because you can just download an ISO of the Game Boy player disc and use that to run this. But alternatively, you can also use the Game Boy interface, which I think is superior when it comes to playing your Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Color games. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But in order to accompany this, I bought a controller for the Game Boy Advance, which you can use the GameCube controller just fine, but I ended up getting one of these. That way it only has a set amount of buttons and it just feels a little bit better, especially with that big A, whenever you're playing some of these handheld games on the big screen. So I definitely recommend one of these. Again, I'll just go ahead and link these in the description below. Lastly, I normally don't talk about this in my videos, but I think I'm going to start doing it only because it's usually like a search and you usually have to wait for the right moment on eBay to get one. But I ended up getting an official GameCube box with all the inserts and then the manuals as well. So I normally don't talk about it. I've already had this for a minute. Typically, like when I'm making videos or like thinking about making videos, I'll get on eBay and buy them ahead of time. But now I can finally use this and put the GameCube nice and safe inside of this box as well. So now that we have all the items that we need, let's switch over to our workbench so we can go ahead and install some of these other accessories that we got. For this project, we're going to need the Nintendo GameCube. We're going to need a screwdriver set and the bit so we can open up the system. I'll go ahead and leave a link in the description below for you guys. Optionally, a shell from Laserbear Industries for the fan. And if you buy the shell and the fan, it does come with this adapter as well. Here is the SD card adapter from Laserbear Industries. And to finish it off, the Game Boy player. So here is the GameCube that we've been working on for the last couple of months. I'm going to go ahead and flip it over and remove the bottom panels. It still looks really clean. I'm really happy with the way this GameCube turned out. So as usual, we're going to go ahead and take a bit and remove the 4 screws at the bottom. I will speed up through this process here only because we already did a video where we opened up the system completely, cleaned up the entire system. And if you guys have any questions or haven't seen the video, please do, because I believe it is a great video for you to clean up a GameCube that either needs a little bit of TLC or that you just got off eBay. So with the lid open, I'm going to go ahead and remove the SD card so we can go ahead and apply it into the new SD card adapter that we got. I'm going to take the back port plastic here and then we can remove the front as well. Be gentle with this ribbon and it should come apart pretty easily. We're going to take off the 4 tiny screws at the front here that hold down the little metal pieces. We are unfortunately going to have to take this system apart almost all the way. And I know the GameCube is notorious for having way too many screws, including these 5 on the side here. So let's go ahead and take care of those as well. Remember that all these screws on the sides are all the same size, so you can just start building a pile of these. I do like that about the system, but I don't like how many screws you have to deal with. So now with the fan side, we're going to remove the 2 screws. This is the other shell that we got off eBay. Again, it's a great shell. I don't mind it at all. I think it's a fantastic option. But since, you know, I was already on Laserbear Industries trying to get the SD card adapter, I decided why not? Let's get their adapter and their fan just to see if I like it any better. And if I don't, I'll go ahead and stick with this one. So now with that out of the way, you are going to have to remove the little screw and the little chip that is attached to this. So let's go ahead and remove the screw gently. And now that we freed the screw and freed the chip, we can go ahead and remove it and put it aside so we can go ahead and apply it in the other shell that we got from Laserbear. So let's take off the 3 screws that are left that were under the fan. Now we can flip the system to the back side and remove the 4 remaining screws here. With all the screws removed, we can go ahead and turn this to the front. and we can go ahead and remove the shielding that has our GC loader attached. So we're going to take the bottom portion and just kind of put it aside. We are going to be working with this metal shielding for the remainder of this video. We're going to do a little bit of prep work though with this SD card adapter. So these screws that come included with this adapter, we're going to go ahead and take those off. I'm not sure if it was a mistake or if it was on purpose, but these screws are actually not working with my magnetic screwdriver for some reason. I don't know what they're made of, but they did not work. So they were kind of a pain to work with, but overall, I think this SD card adapter option is absolutely fantastic. So here I'm trying to see how it's going to lay out at the end. I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the SD card extender into the GC loader. And the ribbon, you can just fold under the shell like this. And I think it was designed that way because it fits absolutely perfectly. So now we're going to go ahead and flip everything over, and the middle shielding, I'm trying to align all the holes with the SD card shell. Once you get that done, we can go ahead and start applying the screws. As you can see, it's not magnetic, so I have to use my finger to put all the screws into the metal shielding like so. And I do them little by little. I don't try to screw them all in at once, just because it is a 3D printed item. So I try to be careful and try not to break it. But at the end, this is the final product. Looks good. So let's go ahead and insert the SD card. We can take the bottom part of the system, and now we can go ahead and apply the metal shielding that has our 3D printed shell now installed. So it looks pretty good. Again, we're just gonna have to deal with all the screws just to hold this all together again. And I'm gonna start with my least favorite side, and that is the side that has 5 screws. Let's go ahead and put those on quickly. Now I'm gonna flip it to the back side and install the 4 screws that go there. I'm leaving the fan side for last on purpose because that is the next part we're gonna start working on. So let's go ahead and install the 4 screws in the back. Let's flip this over to the fan side, and before we start, we're going to go ahead and install the 3 screws that go underneath the fan. And the fan itself and the shell I already put together with the chip and everything. I should say the power button. As you can see, this is what the final product looks like. On the side, it does include a Pico drive slot if you guys want to go that route. But this actually fits a lot better than the other shell I got from eBay. I can just kind of sit it there and it's flush. With the other one, I had to struggle a little bit to kind of pin it into place and then put the screws back on. So far so good. The power cord is a lot longer, so that is going to be something to deal with. For now, we're going to go ahead and feed this through our laser bear shell and plug it into place. And I'm pretty much going to do the rest of the system before I deal with the fan cord there, the really long one. So let's take these 2 metal pieces that go in the front of the system and put them into place. And make sure you take those 4 thin screws that we took off earlier and use those to put those metal pieces into place. Once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and flip this system over, and we're going to take the plastic piece from the back and snap that into place. Let's flip it over to the front one more time. And this time we're going to take the controller port and the ribbon and put that into place as well. As usual, be gentle with the ribbon. Especially when you put it into place, you don't want to force it. You just want to make sure it's lined up and then press it in, as you can see here. And we can go ahead and snap the controller port into place as well. Now it's finally time to deal with this. So let's go ahead and plug it in. I just want to see how much length I have to deal with once everything is connected. And it looks like I have a lot of length. I'm going to try to fold this over a few times and just kind of put it to the side of the system. I'm going to try to the side and the back just to see which one I like better. So here I am. I'm not zip tying anything yet or, making it official. I'm just seeing what it looks like at this point. And I don't really like it on the side. I think I'm going to stick to the back. So let's try that out. So here's the finished product with the cord zip tied to the back. I'm gonna put the shell on just to see if the door gets stuck. Hopefully it doesn't, and if it does, I can just finagle it, or I can switch it to the side. That way I have a smooth opening door with this GameCube. So let's press the open button. And it looks like it gets a little stuck, so I'll have to mess with it. But look at this. Look at this Laser Bear Industries SD adapter. I love it. It looks so good. It looks so clean. I love that my GameCube no longer has a giant gaping hole in the middle of it. So with our system all buttoned up, I already added the 4 screws at the bottom to keep it all together. We're going to take off this port here so we can apply our Game Boy player. Now this Game Boy player I already opened up and cleaned up. The internals were perfect, but the shell was a little bit beat up. As you can see, there's a lot of scratches, and there's only so much I can do with that. I might have to fix that later. But for now, let's go ahead and screw it all down with this flat head. There's only 2 screws to hold the Game Boy player into place. Once you have those, we can go ahead and flip this over, and our GameCube is now, at least to me, it is complete. I am so excited to have a complete Game Boy player GameCube. I've never had that growing up, and I am super pumped. The setup for the Game Boy interface is extremely easy. It's only a couple of steps. Let's begin by taking the SD card from our GameCube into our computer. Once we do that, this is the files that are in there. We're just going to create one new folder, and we're going to call it GBI. You can do it uppercase, lowercase, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to keep mine lowercase for now. Go ahead and open up that folder, and the next thing we're going to do is go to Google and search Game Boy interface. And one of the first sites you'll see is this GC Forever. That's the one we're going to need. This is basically a wiki with all the features contained within the Game Boy interface. It even gives you steps on how to do a setup depending on your setup for the GameCube. You have a GC loader with Swiss, which is us. You have a GC loader with an SD card. Just make sure you follow the instructions as it states there. But once you're ready and once you read through the wiki, the one file we are going to download is this one file called the download main package. Within that package, there's going to be one folder we're going to be focusing on, and that is the apps folder. And depending on how you want to use your Game Boy interface, these are different options. This is the basic one. This is the high definition. And I don't remember exactly what this one is. It's not one that I use very often, but typically people stick with the high definition or the Game Boy interface original. So if you have a GC digital, you can actually use some of these depending on your setup. If you have a VGA cable, if you have a direct component cable, if you're using it in OSSC, these are definitely great options to go with. But since I'm using kind of a weird setup, I'm using the Prism component cables and a RetroSync 4K. The one that I found that works the best is actually this RetroSync 5X and Carby setup here. So we're going to go ahead and just take some of these examples and the dull. That is all I'm going to use. You might have to experiment. I'll be honest with you, I did experiment for a long time trying to figure out which one was the one that worked the best and looked the best in my eyes. So definitely a testing endeavor, unfortunately. But if you're using the same setup as I am, this is definitely the way to go. So let's go ahead and take out the SD card from my computer and put it back into the GameCube. All right, so here is the Swiss menu. Let's go ahead and hop into the GBI folder that we created. And let's go ahead and start the GBI RetroSync 5X plus Carby one that worked with my setup here. I have the flash card already inserted into the Game Boy player, so it should load right up. And the only game I have right now is this Dragon Ball Advanced Adventure. I actually have a lot of fun playing this. So let's go ahead and run it. As you can see, the letters are pretty sharp. These are all like JPEG, so they're not going to be as sharp as the actual text in the game, but I think this game is so much fun, honestly. Okay, here we go. So as you can see, the text is super sharp. If you look at Goku's hair, it is perfectly pixelated. Of course, there's always room for improvement when it comes to this, but right now, just running it regularly, it's looking absolutely fantastic. And this game is so much fun. I'm just going around beating up these pigs. These boars. Yeah, I think it looks absolutely fantastic. If I pause this, we can go ahead and zoom in on his fist and some of the pixels, and we can see just how good this looks. So I think for now, the Game Boy player is complete. So let's go ahead and move on. I'm happy to say that this GameCube is now complete, for my purposes at least. It does have the Game Boy player, it has the fan mod, it has the GC loader so we can play the games off an SD card, and it has the SD card mount. That way it is aesthetically pleasing and there's not a giant hole inside of the system. We also added the battery mod so it's easier to switch the battery whenever it dries up. So I think for all intents and purposes, this GameCube is now complete. Now, of course, there are other accessories that I want to get for this. Like we talked about earlier, I want to get the Carby, and maybe I'll get some Wavebird controllers as well. As far as mods go, there are a ton of other mods you can do for the GameCube. You can light up these controller ports with LEDs. You can get an LED fan. What else is there? Or you can do the HDMI mods. There's so many options out there for the GameCube, but I like to keep things a little vanilla, especially on the outside. So this is a very unsuspecting kind of GameCube, but I'm just really excited with the way it turned out. I'm going to put this away in a box and nice and safe, and that way it is ready whenever I need it to play some games. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me for this GameCube journey. It was so much fun and I learned so much. Hopefully you guys enjoy these videos as well. If this is your kind of thing where somebody goes through and cleans up systems, repairs them if need be, and sometimes mods them, make sure you hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified every time I post a video. I'm not sure which system I'm gonna work next, or work on next, I should say. And I'm thinking between the Dreamcast or the PS2. So if you guys want to see either or, let me know. Your insight is always helpful. So if you guys prefer one or the other, put that in the comments below. I want to know. But until then, I'll see you guys later. Let's play some more GameCube games. Bye bye.